Reporters Jay O'Brien and Elizabeth Schulze both join us now. And Jay, let's start with you. Of course, we haven't had a federal government shutdown in more than 6 years. What do you think the chances are that we have one now?
Well, as you said, Lindsay, the clock is ticking. There's not a big appetite up here on Capitol Hill for a government shutdown, but you've really got to look to Democrats here because Mike Johnson has a contingent of hardliners in his own party who always vote against temporary government funding measures to avert a shutdown. They have ideological opposition to it. And so Mike Johnson has consistently had to turn to Democrats to pass temporary measures to keep the government funded. Last time we played this game in December, more Democrats voted for the legislation to keep the government funded than Republicans did. But one of the rumblings we're hearing from Democrats now is because they have such strong opposition to what they're seeing out of this administration, and in particular, the thousands of firings of federal workers by Elon Musk and Doge, there are some rumblings that Democrats would consider gambling with withholding their votes and potentially prompting a government shutdown to try to extract some concessions out of this administration. Now, these are just rumblings. We haven't heard it from the vast majority of House Democrats. We haven't even heard it from House Democratic leadership, but Democrats acknowledge they have limited cards to play here. They don't control the House. They don't control the Senate. So there are limited moves they can make to try to make meaningful changes and extract meaningful concessions out of Speaker Johnson and out of President Trump.
And moving on to those tariffs, Elizabeth, President Trump likes to say it's his favorite word. Then people said, oh, well, what about love, family, country? And then he said, OK, tariffs, that's my fourth favorite word. Canada and China are already retaliating. Mexico's president says that she's going to announce retaliatory tariffs on Sunday. What kinds of concessions is President Trump looking for by starting a trade war?
And Lindsay, this is a trade war. What President Trump says is that he wants to reduce the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. through Mexico, from China, and from Canada, too, he says. But he also says this is about increasing American manufacturing. The idea being if businesses have to pay tariffs, higher fees for their products that are imported when they cross into the U.S., that would incentivize companies to buy more stuff and move their manufacturing into the United States. This is a message that we heard from President Trump in his first term. But the scale of these tariffs that have just taken effect is much more broad, much more universal. They apply to the three biggest trading partners across the board. We're talking about goods that would be affected, everything from groceries to gas, shoes, electronics, really far-reaching implications. And the question for businesses, Lindsay, will be how much can they absorb those higher costs versus how much do they pass down to consumers? Households could end up paying up to $2,000 extra per year because of these tariffs, according to some estimates, as businesses decide if they do need to pass on those higher costs.
Right. People concerned about those higher costs as well as shortages potentially. Elizabeth Schulze, Jay O'Brien, we thank you both so much. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Lindsay Davis. Be sure to stay tuned with us as we count down to the presidential address to Congress, President Trump's first since taking office for the second time.
Well, what do we have here? What's going on? Well, don't really know yet. Maybe Donald Trump's going to come out and be like, yeah, you know what? We're going to war with the entire world. And yeah, we're going to have the world pay for it with their lives. No? Well, for one, Zelensky did agree to the mineral deal, which I guess it's a good thing. We'll see. And we can tell Canada kick rocks. China. So Temu is going to go up 20 cents to the dollar. All right. Not bad. Speaking of 20 cents to the dollar, more like 26 cents to the dollar. Did you know that the Ukrainian government may or may not have been reselling the weapons that we so graciously donated to them on the black market for 26 cents to the dollar? So we paid for that. I want a return on investment. I need some good rifles, right? I want my money back. All right? Make it happen. Ukraine. Ukrainia. The United Nations of Ukraine. Funny, everyone wants war except for the United States and, believe it or not, Russia. That's kind of crazy when you think about that. What a fucking bizarre world we fucking live in. To where all the Democrats are like, we want war. We want war. When it used to be the Republicans who are like, yeah, we're gonna start a war. We're gonna blame it on the Muslims, and we're just gonna completely forget that, you know, Mossad may have had something to do with it. But no, we're gonna blame it on a couple Saudi Arabians whose passport, you know, magically didn't burn up inside the plane crash. Weird. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Fuel can melt through fucking steel, but wait, not yet. So, how's everyone else doing on this sweet? It's, yeah, Tuesday night. It's really windy outside, which is good. As long as we don't have a tornado, which is bad. Well, it could be bad. Especially bad if it's DARPA, right? Oh, hold on. Got some action. No, we don't. It's a commercial. My bad. False alarm. Here we go.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We are here in the nation's capital, counting down to President Trump's joint address to Congress tonight.
Yes.
In less than an hour, he's expected to
Wait,
lay out his vision for the
less than
country
an hour?
and America's place in the world.
Wait a
In
second.
44 days in office, trade
I was
wars,
told this would
tariffs,
start
and
at 7.
unprecedented effort to reshape our federal government. 76 executive orders, a flurry
What
of lawsuits.
the
It's a
fuck?
lot to keep track of. And let's take a live look now
What's
at
up,
the
short
Capitol,
bus?
where the president is expected to tell
You mean
the
to tell
American
me
people just how he plans to continue
I'm
his bold
way early
agenda
on this?
and what he calls the renewal of the American dream.
No.
This is many
C-SPAN
Americans
says
see
it
that
starts at
dream is
7.
out of reach.
C-SPAN
From stubborn
starts at 7.
inflation to trade war with our closest allies and the world's richest man, Elon Musk, at the center of it all to reshape the government as we know it.
Reshape your
Plus, a
mom's
sudden
face as we
shift,
know
the
it.
president pulls back all military aid to Ukraine after a shouting match with President Zelensky in the Oval Office on Friday as the Kremlin celebrates America's foreign policy aligning more
Again,
closely with Russia's vision.
I have no
Following
problem
the
with
president's
that.
speech, we'll hear from a former CIA agent turned freshman Senator Alyssa Slotkin, who will give
Alyssa
a Democratic rebuttal. The
Slotkin.
team is standing by to break it all down. And we'll be
Let me
joined
find
by
a video.
Congressman
I do
Byron
want to go
Donalds
over
and
that.
political
We were going to
strategist
go over
Donna Brazile as well
tomorrow,
this
but
hour.
fuck it right
We
now.
begin with our chief White House correspondent,
Shut up.
Mary Bruce.
Tonight, as the president
All right.
prepares to address
We're
the nation
going
in
to
the
put
Dow
them on
plunging.
pause for a minute. We're going to watch another video, which, you know, kind of makes sense when you think about it. And it's always like, hey, LARP. It's always like, if you say it enough, people will believe it. But when you say it enough to where people believe it, but at the same time, you don't change. You don't change the script. I listed a little bit. It kind of makes you look like some retarded fuck brains. I know, LARP, man. Haven't seen you in a bit. All right, so mainstream media, eat your heart out.
Will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
That ain't true. That's what you just heard.
Well, that's weird. So these 3 Democrats made the exact same video? It was just the 3 of them, right? All of these Democrats made the exact same video with the same script. It included January 6th and Elon bad.
Oh,
Costs of groceries, housing, insurance, all going up.
Prices of groceries, gas, housing,
And yes, even eggs.
Instead, he's pardoned
violent criminals who beat police officers.
who bludgeoned police officers.
I mean, they did do
Savagely
5
beat
years.
Police officers.
He's allowing Elon Musk to literally take a chainsaw.
Elon Musk in charge of taking a chainsaw.
Elon Musk take a chainsaw.
a literal chainsaw to funding the government spends on you.
By the way, Musk doesn't even know how to hold a chainsaw.
Giving him access to
Americans' most sensitive data. Giving Elon Musk access.
Access?
Access to Americans' most sensitive data.
You gotta hand it to Elizabeth Warren. She's clearly the most dedicated to her performance.
Why? Families lose, while billionaires win.
Who the hell thought this was a good idea? I understand trying to get everyone on the same message, but you know what this makes you look like, right, guys? Do you remember this?
Of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish things.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
I'm sure a lot of you remember this viral video where all these news stations expressed fake news as a threat to our democracy.
Never heard of it.
When everyone gets on the exact same page like this, the implication becomes you aren't thinking for yourself. You are a puppet, and someone is making you dance. For the Democrats, after the last 4 years, that's the last thing you want people to think. Yet, here they are, doing the very thing that could harm them the most.
And that is the truth.
Now that's the bottom line because stone drunk Pelosi said so. Oh, you're getting used to that shit by now, right? Oh, we're gonna repeatedly say the same thing as everyone else because, you know, if you, like I said, if you say it enough, it's true. I believe it. I believe it. And I believe it because of mainstream media. Byron Donalds again.
I think the president's going to cover all of his successes in the last 45 days.
He's doing another interview. Byron Donalds loves to hear himself talk
President
sometimes.
of the United States, getting men out of women's sports, something that the American people massively support. 80% of the American people support that. Bringing peace into the Middle East region, actually getting a deal done on getting hostages back and getting close to actually bringing an end to the war in Ukraine, and so many other things. He has a lot to celebrate, a lot to tell the American people, but then also to call on Congress to get moving on delivering on the rest of his agenda.
Business leaders.
How
and
dare
consumers
he
as
want
well
peace
tell
in
us
the
that
Middle
they
East?
worry that the president's latest tariffs will only raise prices on a number of goods. Economists insist that that's exactly what will happen. How do you think that the president will try to put those fears to rest tonight?
It won't.
A couple of things. Number one, we need Canada and Mexico to take our border seriously as well. We do need China
Oh,
to
speaking
stop
of
sending
that,
precursor
so I ended up listening to Trudeau's speech. Trudeau's speech mimicked the opposition party's Poilievre's speech. Almost like, oh, they're both bought and paid for, but one is well, not a Democrat. One's conservative and one's a socialist. Weird.
material for fentanyl to Mexico.
Shut
Fentanyl
up.
in its current situation is about securing our nation, but to a broader level on tariff policy. For a long time, free trade meant that there were bad trade deals where the American manufacturer, the American farmer, the American business person is being taken advantage of because other nations tariff our goods and we do not respond in kind. That's why the president laid out reciprocal tariff policy so that we can actually get to an even playing field so we not only have free trade, but also fair trade.
What's your message tonight to your constituents who are worried about the price of groceries and say that they simply can't afford to pay any more money for just basic staples?
What I would say is that we're going to get this economy roaring again. Tax policy, we're going to get that settled up here at the federal level in short order. So no tax on tips, overtime, Social Security, things that can help the American people keep more money in their pocket. Number two, when we go through the regulatory environment, which we're already starting to do with DOGE, we're going to expound upon that.
Seeing those pictures in the back, that they're showing of the eggs, there's no fucking way. No way that there's that many eggs available for a fucking newscast. That shit would have gone like that. Well, except for the $10.99 for the organic eggs. That's kind of weird.
Cutting regulations, that's going to help prices actually stabilize and come down. Number three, robust energy agenda in the United States. Drill, baby, drill is the tagline. What it means is energy dominance on the world stage. And when you have a strong energy market in the United States, that also stabilizes prices and brings them down. So that when you get to tariff policy, we are a humming economic engine who now simply are asking to be treated fairly on the world stage.
On Monday, the president paused military aid to Ukraine. What role do you think that Ukraine should have with regard to the peace deal that Trump is seeking between Ukraine and Russia?
Vladimir Zelensky needs to sign the deal on minerals. Listen, this conflict's been going on for 3 years. The reality is that the previous administration, led by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they had no way of trying to even get this close to a peace deal. The minerals deal is the pathway to getting peace in that region.
Actually, they did come pretty close. And
Vladimir Zelensky, this is in his interest
Boris,
and the
no,
Ukrainian
not Boris
people's
Yeltsin.
interest, because at some point they're going to have to rebuild Ukraine
Some
from this
fucking Brit
conflict.
fucked it
Better
up.
to do that with fresh investment coming into your country because of the rare earth minerals that Ukraine has, which, by the way, the United States does need access to. So it is a good deal for both countries. If you want to get the peace process moving, I would tell Vladimir Zelensky, sign the deal. Let's get started.
And before you go, of course, you announced last week your candidacy to be Florida's next governor. Governor Ron DeSantis is term limited. You've already received the president's endorsement. And you said at CPAC that you want to show the other 49 states how to get it done. Why do you believe that you're the right person to lead your state?
Well, look, we've had great governors. Ron DeSantis, our current governor, Rick Scott before him. We are the mantle of how to have a free state, have a state that doesn't blow out its budgets like New York, California, and Illinois, have a state where business owners want to move their businesses and their families. We're the
Like
number
California?
one state when it comes to school choice. We are the best environment to live safely in a state in our country. And so it's basically taking those items and then doing some new things, actually becoming the financial capital of the world with digital assets, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency leading the way. Focusing on children being proficient in math and reading, in writing, and in reasoning. You do those things in conjunction with what we've already done as a state. Now you have a major story to tell that other states would want to follow and emulate. And a quick shout out to my friend in Ohio, Vivek Ramaswamy. He says he wants to be the best state in the country. Love you, Vivek, but you get to be number 2 because Florida is going to remain number 1.
All right, love that.
Oh,
That little challenge there. Representative Donalds, always appreciate your time. Good luck on the gubernatorial run. Hope to see you back on the show again soon.
Of course. Thank you.
Democratic strategist Donna Brazile joins us again now. Thanks for coming back on, Donna. Let's talk about Senator Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan. She's a Democrat that's considered a political survivor who's giving the party's response tonight to the address. What can you tell us?
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I totally thought this shit was supposed to start at 7. I don't really feel like waiting for another hour being on live, so I shall or shall not come back on tonight. It all depends if how much weed I can smoke in the next 45 minutes. So that being said, have a good night. Or